We've got Tesla's third quarter numbers expected after the closing bell today. It's going to be the first of the Mag 7 companies to report, but Tesla's the only member of the Mag 7 that's expected to see profits declining in its latest results. Yahoo Finance's Josh Schafer joining us now with more. So Josh, Tesla's not really going to be a bellwether, it sounds like.
No, I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, right, as far as how much the Mag 7 mean to S&P 500 earnings, right? Remember, we went through this stat where Mag 7 is expected, this is according to FactSet, expected to grow earnings year over year 18.1%, your S&P 493, the rest of the index expected to grow 0.1% year over year for the quarter. But in that Mag 7 cohort, Tesla's actually weighing on that number. It would be higher if you just used your, I don't know, what do we call in the 6 these days? Well, I'll call them the Tech 6, right? But if you took out Tesla, it would actually be a better number. And that's really been the story for the last several quarters here, right? When you look at Tesla stock after earnings, the day after earnings, when we start focusing on the fundamental story here, not robots that might come in 2050, but the fundamental story, it hasn't done well. So here's your look at the last several quarters of earnings. I'm looking at 5 out of the last 6 quarters, stock was down pretty significantly. And so when the fundamental story comes into play for Tesla, it hasn't performed that well, which is why I'm not sure whatever we hear from Elon Musk today is going to be that useful for the AI narrative, for the tech narrative, because remember, Tesla talks a lot about AI. It's not really in their business yet, right? So if we're still in the how is AI driving profitability to Mag 7 and big tech, I don't think Tesla's really your answer for that either. So from that perspective, it will be an interesting call. I love listening to Elon Musk. It always goes somewhere you don't think it's going to go. But are we going to get a macro market narrative takeaway from tonight? I think we're waiting for next week for that.
And also, if you just step back and take a look even at the price action in the stock over the last several weeks since we did get the robotaxi event on October 10th, so I guess not even last several weeks, last 2 weeks or so, you could also make the argument that maybe a lot of this bad news has already been priced in, and maybe this is set up to see a bit of a bounce, but again, that doesn't really, that's not contrarian to what the point
So I was thinking about this morning, right? One of the things that Elon usually does well on the call, or sometimes does well, is when someone asks a question about your shrinking gross margin, he talks about full self-driving, right? He sort of diverts it to a different conversation. We just had that conversation 2 weeks ago and it disappointed the street, right? Investors did not like what they saw from that robotaxi event. So I'm curious going into tonight, how can he divert the conversation? We just had a full night dedicated to them. Everyone was focused on it and it didn't seem to impress. So what can you use to sort of divert from potentially bad earnings? Maybe the earnings are good too and I'm just being too downbeat to start our morning, but that's sort of something I'm interested in tonight. Is normally Musk kind of dodges those questions, but when your event just flopped for kind of the pie in the sky stuff that usually drives the valuation, what can you actually tell me in the near term? I think is going to be interesting.
Yeah, or if he's able to give a little bit more context about those pie in the sky things too. You never know.
I want a robot to serve me a drink at the bar.
That would
it was
be
cool.
fun, and it could also be your friend, like you said. All right, Josh, thanks so much.